Hello, everybody. Welcome back to the Flick Your Bick Podcast Network with Ben and Nick. But today, not with Ben and Nick. This is Ben
And Mark.
back again and Mark. That's right. After jaw surgery, Ben can talk. It's very exciting. It might hurt after a little bit, but I'll power through. Anything for the pod. That sultry voice you just heard is not Nick, if you couldn't tell. That is my best friend, brother from another, Marcus. We've been friends forever, since wee little baby childs, and we are going to be doing the inaugural episode of the Jock podcast on the Flake Your Bick Podcast Network. This is where we talk about sports. Nick doesn't know shit about sports, so that's why I got to bring in other people to fulfill my sport discussion needs. Mark is here. Tell us a little bit about yourself and what we're going to be talking about today.
Well, my name's Mark, like Ben said. He is my brother from another mother. But today, we're going to be talking about some World Cup. And if you're wondering why I'm here, well, soccer's my thing. I've been coaching, playing. I've been doing it all, playing since I was 3, coaching since technically I was 16. Started immediately coaching college since I was 19. Coached with national team, has been blessed to coach a couple national team players on the women's side. It's a French national team player for the youth side. We can keep going on and on if you want to, but it's one of those things. It's pretty cool, exciting. I'm glad to be here. Let's get it going.
I like it, man. That's what I like to hear. Soccer for me, I've reffed since I was a kid and played all the way up into high school and still play around in a little pub league now. But yeah, we're big soccer fans. Absolutely love it. And the World Cup is, it's the pinnacle of soccer. It doesn't get any higher than this. So
Pinnacle.
It's really exciting.
Pinnacle sports.
Yes.
Yeah,
that's what I was going to say. Yeah. In my personal opinion, my favorite, probably the best month of the year every 4 years. Like it's just nonstop action and it's just freaking awesome. And I think this year especially, with a lot of the teams that qualified, there's good matches all over the place now. Usually you might have a couple stinkers where it's like, okay, I don't really know anybody on this team. This wasn't going to be that fun. But even some of the smaller nations.
Well, I think what's interesting about this year is it's going to be coming up. Obviously it's right around the corner, but the thing is, it's a lot of new talent coming through. Like you have this nice merge of old and new talent between these teams, and that's what's really exciting.
Yeah, between teams and then just in the crop of players overall.
It's crazy.
So yeah, it's very, very exciting. And you know how the World Cup goes. There's always one breakout young star who comes out, kicks ass, and then next thing you know, they're getting bought for 80 mil and playing for Real Madrid. There's always going to be a player like that. That's just super fun. Someone who breaks out.
James.
So tonight, James Rodriguez. Yeah, exactly. Dude, he was so nasty in 2014.
Golden Boot winner. That's why he went to where he was for all the money he did.
Yeah, exactly, dude. Exactly. So just a quick rundown of what we're going to be doing today. We're going to go through all the groups here and give our picks to advance. We'll talk some breakout players, some dark horse teams, predict some award winners, and just generally just talk about the tournament. So I guess one question I had for you, Mark, to get started, what are some of your favorite World Cup memories growing up watching the Cup, stuff that you remember and think about fondly?
World Cup memories. Is it bad to say? Well, if you're looking at, for me as a player and a coach, I would have to say the dismantling of Brazil by Germany, just because the amount of technical ability that was done in that game. But if you want to talk about the true fan, just awesome random memories, would have to be Zidane Zidane, the headbutt, which is terrible to say, 100%. But it's just one of those things that everybody kind of knows about, even if they didn't watch footy at the time, which is the cool thing, because there are so many people that they don't really watch soccer or football outside of the normal realm of World Cup, but everybody knows that happened. You know what I mean? That's what's awesome about it.
Yeah, exactly. And he just got done managing Real Madrid. So, that's a lesson for everybody. You make a mistake, you can always come back from it.
What about you, though? What's your favorite memory?
Ooh, that's tough, man. Oh, man. My personal favorite was watching, even though we lost in heartbreaking fashion, the U.S.-Belgium game in the last World Cup. We were down in the rail yard in Lincoln. It was just an absolutely insane atmosphere. And it was so much
I
fun.
remember you sending me those pictures.
Just the run we went on, the run we went on in 2014 was just so much fun. So obviously as a U.S. fan, that was awesome. But I remember, for some reason as a kid, I really liked the Netherlands. I think I just kind of like their orange jerseys, and that team that had like Van der Vaart and I think Van Gaal, did he coach them? And they had Dirk Kuyt. They were nasty. And I remember watching them, and really liking their style of football. They played that kind of one-touch style.
Was it
there that the Dutch are famous for?
Was it 2010 when
2004? I think
Netherlands had a
maybe?
dirty header? Was that 10? Was that 10?
Shoot, maybe. I don't know. I'm getting them all confused. Some Brazil and then South Africa and Germany. Remember the Germany one was the first one I remember watching. That was 2006.
That was your first World Cup ever watching?
That was the first one I remember.
Just really
watching.
remembering.
I'm sure I've watched it before. That's the one I really recall. That's when U.S. got beat by Ghana. That was disappointing. But we thought we knew disappointment back then. We could do a whole nother pod about U.S. soccer if we really wanted to get real discouraged.
Yeah,
let's avoid that for now. This is positive. We're talking about the cup.
U.S. World Soccer.
No. That's too.
I could rant for
much.
days.
Can't handle that right now. Oh yeah. Oh yes. All right. So let's jump into the groups here. So what I want to do, I'll just tell you who's in them, and then we'll pick our two to advance here. I think there's some really interesting groups just for matchup, entertainment wise, but then also I think some of them are going to be really competitive, and there's no clear two advance. So just so everyone knows, there's four teams in each group, and the top two advance. So here in Group A, we start off with Group A here, the host nation of Russia. We also have Saudi Arabia, Egypt, and Uruguay. So what jumps out to you, Marcus, about that first group?
I mean, obviously, you have the host country, Russia. I mean, I don't think they're favorites in anybody's eyes, even escaping the group. However, you have Uruguay, who's always solid, always is able to perform. But it's really going to be interesting to see Egypt. Obviously, they got freaking Muhammad, man. What can you say? What can you say? Whether you like Liverpool or not, I know your feelings about that, but that man is phenomenal.
Yeah, he's amazing. He's absolutely incredible. And the question is, I think what I heard recently was he might miss their first game.
Yeah, he's dealing with that
shoulder injury he got in the Champions League, but I think he's going to play after that. I think he might just miss the first one.
Yeah, it's one of those things, and
which will give them a chance.
Honestly, I would take Uruguay number 1, Egypt number 2 out of that. Russia's probably going to sneak a number 3.
Yeah, I agree. The only thing I got with Russia is you get that home country boost, and also might be some Russian we'll call it some Russian chicanery going on, perhaps, with some hometown whistles. You can never
see. For me though, with my Russian fan ideas, is like a lot of them are big into their country, supporting it. However, I just kind of view it like it was like the Olympics the last time. They're going to be support, but they're just going to lose faith, you know what I mean, in their country, because they know they're just out of their league. Basically, that's honestly how I view it.
They don't have that top flight talent. Yeah, Uruguay I think is the clear winner in this group. I mean, you've got Luis Suarez, the biter himself, and Cavani up top. That's really hard to go against. And again, they're just a solid group that always has talent all the way through the front to the back. And talking about Egypt, I want to get your thoughts on, because we're going to see it as we go through here. A lot of different teams that just have that one pinnacle player, that one absolute superstar, and then it's kind of just everyone else together on the team. There's just that one guy that it all runs through. What are your thoughts on that? How far do you think those kind of one-man teams can go?
Honestly, it all depends on matchups. I mean, if the matchups are right, Egypt, but if they get out of their group, honestly, they could make it to the semis if the matchups are right. And it's crazy to think that, but I mean, it's happened before. Why not them? You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. What when you say matchups, you're just talking about teams that are experienced enough that they can shut down. They have the tactical ability and the defensive talent to shut down that one player. Is that what you're meaning more basically with
Well,
with
I'm just,
matchups?
talking about just after you get outside of your group stage. I mean, anything's possible outside of that. And it is all just how things line up, whether you come in first or second in your group. You could,
Right.
we've seen it before. I mean,
Yeah, maybe like
there are teams
yeah.
that
So
are
in
able to make
case,
pushes
yeah,
into it after that group stage that honestly, when you look down at stats, probably should have no reason being there because that's all it is one player. You know what I mean? However, they're just
mm-hmm.
able to have a solid team effort and continue to grow and move on from there.
Yeah. So I agree with you. I think in Saudi Arabia and Russia, no one of repute on those squads. I think Salah gets them through, and we got Uruguay, Egypt going through in Group A. Here in Group B, this is a really interesting one. We've got Portugal, Spain, Morocco, and Iran. I know Spain and Portugal. It's one of the first games of the tournament. That's a hell of a matchup in the group stage right there. And I know Morocco has some solid young talent. People are in on Morocco, but seeing them get over Spain and Portugal, I think would be difficult. I'm not a huge Portugal guy. Ronaldo's incredible. I think the rest of their team is a little lackluster, and they're a lot on the older side. And Spain, obviously, is really interesting. Like you were talking about earlier with their mix of like older and younger players. They kind of embody that. They've got a lot of the the Iniestas and Piqués and Ramoses have been there forever, compared with some of the young like Real Madrid guys like Asensio and Isco. Like that mixture, I think, is really interesting and will make them a little more dynamic than they've been in the past.
Yeah, it's one of those things. I think honestly, your two group stage winners are going to be Spain and Portugal out of that. I think Spain takes it though.
Mm-hmm.
Did what you just said. I mean, Portugal, it's kind of the same thing. Like what always plagued them in the World Cup is they do just have Cristiano for the most part because a lot of their other talent can't fully get on the same page. And I think that gets them through the group. But outside of that, I think they probably lose first round outside of that.
Yeah, I tend to agree. I can maybe see Morocco maybe pulling in there with Portugal. They got a couple good young players, but I just think the experience of Portugal and the fact that they've got Ronaldo. I mean, that's hard to overcome for any country. All right, so we got Portugal and Spain in Group B. Group C is an interesting one. We've got France, Australia, Peru, and Denmark. France, obviously, the talisman here in this group.
Really?
Their team is, dude. Yeah, who could have guessed it, dude? The amount of attacking talent that they have is just insane. Like they're so deep, in the front, and then they're anchored by Lloris in goal. One of my favorite players. He's a hell of a goalie, and they've got some really good talent throughout. They just the entire team. They always seem to kind of play. I don't know with their manager. They always seem to play super reserved on the world stage, which I find interesting with all the attacking talent. I really like to see them like open it up and really play aggressively and on their front foot. But I mean, I think they'll be just fine in this group. The other team that interests me here is Denmark. Again, one of the other teams that's led by one big player, and that's Christian Eriksen, who tore it up for them in the group stage and is an amazing player. More known in his club team for assisting and setting people up, but is more than capable of scoring goals. Peru was a really solid team as well. They got their captain back after the whole suspension thing. Did you hear about that? Like he got like busted for cocaine or so they thought, but it turned out like the bust was like kind of bullshit, and people were like trying to keep him out of the World Cup. And then like the captains of France, Australia, and Denmark, they all voted to like let him back into the tournament, so he's playing now. Wild.
I did not actually.
Interesting story. If anyone wants to check that out,
awesome.
It's insane. It's insane. Go check it out. So I think Eriksen gets them through. France and Denmark for me here. What do you got, Mark?
See, honestly, I gotta. Well, I mean, obviously France. You have to. I mean, if you're probably not taking France in your final four for the World Cup, I mean that's hard to not say. You know what I mean? The amount of talent there is just ridiculous, all the way from their youth to their aged players. It is just immense. And they're definitely up there for one of the tops for discussions about just who can really stay healthiest by the end of this tournament. You know what I mean? But I gotta actually kind of throw somebody new into the mix here. I gotta go off Australia here.
Okay.
I mean, I really do think they're the underdogs.
No
I really do think they're the underdogs, probably
No
of the
way.
one of the
Wow.
whole tournament, to be fair. But I think they have some of the most capability to take second out of this group stage and really emerge a strong
They're
team.
really organized defense.
Dude,
Yeah, they're really organized defensively always.
And that's what I love about them. You know what I mean?
I can't remember who's that old guy that they have up front who's always scoring goals for them.
Oh my goodness. I
Cahill?
can't. Yeah, it's Cahill. Yeah, it was Cahill.
He's an animal.
Yeah, but it's just one of those things. Like their organization defensively, I think honestly will cause issues. Now, are they going to score, 5 goals in group stage? No. But if they can walk away with draws when they need to get draws, maybe squeak out a 1-0 win, by all means, that's what gets you through. You know what I mean? It doesn't matter if you score 100 goals a game.
Yeah, I agree. I agree with that sentiment. I think defense can get you through the group stage, but to advance, I don't know. I think you just have to have
you got to have that X factor,
a certain amount of attacking talent. But defense can get you through the group stage for sure. Just playing gritty, slow the really muck the game up.
I tell you what, that's what they do. That's what they do. They play hard.
Yeah, a couple hard fouls in there.
They play hard.
And you can get through a game. Yep. No, I see that. There you go. So C will be one to watch for there. Group D here, I think maybe the most interesting group. We've got Argentina starting it off, and then Iceland, the darlings of Euro 2016, Iceland, and then Croatia and Nigeria in there as well. That's a hell of a group there, Marcus.
I honestly think Group D is the biggest what if group, man. I really do.
It's tough, man. I mean, Argentina, obviously, they've got the Messiah himself, but I don't know. I don't trust them in international games. Their back line has let them down way too much, and their whole just football association is so wacky. I don't know about. I never trust Argentina. I think they get through the group just on pure talent, but I don't believe in them long term. Croatia is a country. I always like watching them. They've got an insane amount of talent. They got Modric in the middle, Perisic on the wing, Mandzukic in there as well. They're always a really interesting squad. And then Nigeria. Have you seen their kids? The Nigerian kids, dude, they're so sick. But again, a whole lot of talent. A lot of guys with Premier League experience. That Iheanacho in there up top. John Obi Mikel, I think, plays for them, and there's a couple other guys.
The best.
But just those teams are super talented.
The best thing I like about Nigeria. They're called the Super Eagles, and the thing is,
the Super
when they
Eagles.
play, they play. I mean, honestly,
there's no sitting back 5 minutes, guys
they
at the
run,
back.
Man, they run. They're gonna send numbers at you, and this is what's so interesting about this group is just I do think Argentina takes it. However, the last 3, Croatia, Iceland, Nigeria, I honestly have no idea. It's really just who can score first or who doesn't make the limited amount of mistakes, just because it's going to be a worm burner between all 3 of those teams to really who takes second in this group. I really do.
I agree. And you were talking about the just defensive organization and stuff with Australia. I mean, that's Iceland to a T. They are so disciplined, so drilled, and in the Euro 2016, they were able to get some goals from Gylfi Sigurdsson, some other guys. I'm curious to see if they can recreate that magic. But I think you got to watch every game in this group. I think they're all gonna. There's no dud in this group. They're all gonna be super.
They're all gonna be very tight.
Yeah. So I got Argentina going through, and then oh man, I want to see Nigeria just because there's something to watch. I'm gonna go Croatia, just experience and top flight talent. You got Luka Modric in the middle. And Perisic on the wing. That's a lot of talent. I'm going Argentina, Croatia. What do you got, Mark?
Man, Argentina, but it's so tight. It's tough to say. I do want to kind of just go with the clap. I do love some of my old heritage.
Oh, no.
Just give me some Viking clap, man.
All right. Iceland, baby. Man, I almost took Nigeria over Argentina for a big upset, but I think it might be
You never know.
that's
They
more
could.
wishful thinking than anything else. Yeah, I don't trust Argentina long term at all, though.
It's gonna be one of those things.
Next up, we have Group E. Another couple interesting ones. We've got Brazil, Switzerland, Costa Rica, and Serbia. Brazil, shocker, is absolutely incredible, super deep throughout the whole thing. Their lineup this year is just unbelievable. And again, another team mixing a lot of old guys' experience with some younger players. I mean, they got up top is just insane. I mean, Neymar, obviously, but Gabriel Jesus, one of the best young strikers in the world, up top. And back, they still have got and Williams up there too. Coutinho, but they still have some old vets like Marcelo back there locking it down in the back. So they're
he's arguably still one of the best players in the world.
He's the best. I think he's best.
Oh, right now, who's still playing? Yeah, hands down. I would 100% agree.
Yeah, he's unbelievable. Other teams in this group, Costa Rica went on a big run last World Cup and are always really strong. Again, one of those teams that's really disciplined and on top of things. But I really like Serbia. They've got in the middle, they've got Nemanja Matic from Man United, and then one of my favorite young players coming up. I'm going to butcher his name. It's Sergej Milinkovic-Savic, I think, and he plays for Lazio. He's like 22, 23, and he's just a beast. He's a 6'4" dude in the middle who just bosses it and has one of the better long shots I've seen. I always go for teams that have talent in the midfield. I think that makes a huge difference in these World Cup games. Switzerland, again, a decent team. You got Shaqiri out there for them, but for me, I got to go Brazil, Serbia in this group.
So yeah, I mean, obviously, the sad part is with some of these, you do have your clear favorites. Brazil, like we were just saying, they're just too good. They're just too good. Now the question is, how far do they go after? Which we can discuss later. But honestly, I got to go with the upset here of last year. I got to go with Costa Rica. Costa Rica
still rocking with Costa Rica.
I mean, them getting outside of their group stage last year, being Uruguay. Which is the big one. Italy, England,
they got that experience.
That is an immense group stage to get out of.
And they're bringing back pretty much everybody. I think they have some of the biggest continuity in the group. Yeah, I could definitely see that. That's going to be interesting to watch.
They have a freaking world-class goalkeeper playing for them. So why?
Novice isn't that's a huge difference. I think a lot of times that's always going to be my tiebreaker is go to goalkeeping because sometimes that's just what it comes down to.
Well, it's one of those things when you look at teams like you were saying with Serbia. If you have a good goalkeeper and a midfield that's able to move the ball, those two things. I mean, obviously you got to have all your pieces of the puzzle, but when you have a midfield that goes up and down, you can move the ball, you can maintain possession. You have a goalkeeper that can distribute, make the saves that you need to when they're big, doesn't give up easy things. That's what you need because now you have offense, defense, and then a solid backing. You know what I mean? You got to be able to have that straight through.
I totally agree. And there's a theory in soccer about is it your best link or a weakest link sport? And to me, it's a weakest link sport. Soccer, you're as good as the worst guy on your team. And that's the thing with the national teams that's always super interesting is you might have a team with a bunch of really good talent like up top or something, but then for whatever reason, that generation, they didn't really develop a left back, and they have some left back playing in some lame domestic league, and that can be your undoing. And you look over this team's like, oh wait, he plays in the Premier League. He's in Serie A. Oh, he's over in the Liga. This guy plays in. I've never heard of this league. Let's look it up. Oh, he's playing in the
adult league,
Polish league or something. I'm like, wait. It's like, oh, this guy's a bartender. Yeah. Okay.
Well, hey, I'm just saying, Iceland did it, so
Yeah, I know.
But it is one of those things you do evaluate players. And you do see where they're at. You know what I mean? You are looking at leagues, and you're looking at that talent in that league, and the ability for players to continuously grow and play talent truly does matter. It really does, because you are playing the best of the best.
That's where you see the differences in development.
If you want to play against children, then you're not going to be able to play with the men. You know what I mean? It's just one of those things.
No. Yeah, no, I totally agree. That's where you see the development differences is in when you look at the team as a whole and say, oh, this country made sure that they developed a left back for this World Cup or a right back, and other teams, they don't have that luxury. So next group, we've got another interesting one. We got Germany, Mexico, Sweden, and South Korea.
Oh yeah.
I think we know who we have winning the group. But other than outside of Germany, I think it's interesting. I think it's between Mexico and South Korea for me. Mexico always has a ton of talent, but can they put it together? That's always their issue. They always have a lot of off the field distractions and stuff. I read a story about their farewell party before they left for the World Cup. They got like busted by the cops, and there was like 30 hookers and stuff in there. So I don't know where their head's at right now, but yeah, they sure have a lot of talent. I guess. Hey man, whatever. Live your life. But for me, the interesting team is South Korea. Again, I'm gonna seem biased, and that's another one of those countries led by like one star player, and that's Heung-min Son from my Tottenham Hotspur. The guy is electric up front.
Good old Son.
I don't know, Mark. What do you see on this one? I think I got to go. I don't know. Maybe I'm biased, but I'm going South. And just because Mexico, I always have issues trusting them. I'm going Germany, South Korea through this one.
Interesting. I mean, the one thing I do love about South Korea is it's consistent at getting to the World Cup. This is their 9th consecutive tournament, man.
Yeah. They qualify. Yeah.
It's their 9th consecutive tournament. Like, that's what they do.
Yeah, they know what they're doing.
I do love Son,
don't always
too.
have the best talent, but they're going to be organized.
I do love Son. I mean, you know me. I don't have a professional team I watch. Son is enjoyable to watch, though. My favorite
wears his heart on his sleeve. Fun guy to watch.
Is Germany, man. My country, Germany. I mean, I'm going with them all the way, but they're just my team, man. They are my national team. That is where my main family is from. I got 2 flags hanging up right next to me in my room right now.
Shocker. I couldn't have guessed that one. Speaking of Germany, what do you think about them leaving Sané off the roster? I thought that was interesting.
It's one of those things, dude. You gotta once in a while leave some players off. Their team is so good.
Yeah, I mean they're so talented, and also I just don't think
one of those things.
He's a real young guy, reported to be kind of a bit of a hothead, and they don't have any room for any of that shit. They don't tolerate that at all.
The one thing with Germany right now, though, is they're not 100% on their left back situation, which is going to be their biggest weakness in the tournament, and that's the thing I'm personally scared about. However, if they're able to manage that, I think they're A-okay. But honestly, I gotta go. My second pick, though, out of this group, I got to take Mexico, man. Mexico has grown leaps and bounds in the past 3 years. And that's the thing I actually love about them. I mean, these players, a lot of them have played together growing up as kids, same teams. A lot of them are still on the same teams together as professionals, while still being able to branch outside and playing on teams outside of Mexico, which is amazing to see. But I really do
they've
see them going far.
As a federation, they've really gotten their shit together as we have not. So,
and that's the thing is, like, when you look at the teams that are around the United States, like Mexico, when we normally have beat them the past couple times as USA, it's normally when they're not fully stacked. But when that team is loaded, they freaking smash us. You know what I mean? And it's crazy to see.
They've clearly got more talent.
Yeah, it's nuts. It's nuts.
That's for sure. Yeah. With them, I think it all comes down to organization. They've always got plenty of attacking talent, but they've been known to let in a goal or two. So if they can really shore up and play soundly in the back, I think they can
the one thing I'll give Mexico is their coach that they have now is a lot better than what they've had previously.
Yeah, Juan Carlos Osorio. Yeah. I agree. Here, kind of finishing up here, Group G, we have Belgium, Panama, Tunisia, and England. Panama, the team that got in over our US of A.
Which I'm so kind of glad about.
Yikes. Yeah, we did need a shake-up, and I mean I think we got our ass beat in the World Cup anyway, but still really embarrassing not to make it. Belgium, They still have that golden generation, man. They have so much talent on this team, and they've been under pressure a long time saying this is the team they need to make it now, and maybe this is their year. I don't know. We'll talk about that later. But yeah, they're definitely getting through. Their back line with Alderweireld and Vertonghen and company and Courtois in goal, and then all the way to Lukaku, and then De Bruyne, man, who's just I think he's
It's
a top five
crazy.
player in the world. He's incredible. There's something else. I didn't even mention Hazard. And then England, man, a interesting England team this year. They actually are playing some of their young talent. They've kind of shook up their formation. I think they're going to be interesting to watch. England, known for, as they say, bottling it in the tournament. It's always their media and their fans are always so negative about them. But this team, I've been seeing a lot coming out of their camps that they're a really strong together group, and I think that that's a huge part of it because the World Cup is so interesting. It's all these like multimillionaire, like world class football players. They go and play games, and then they like have to sit in the these like not that great hotels in this random country and just like wait around for the next game. It's a weird process, and I think having a team that gets along really well and knows each other. I think that's a huge deal. And maybe I'm a little bit biased because their starting lineup has 5 people from Tottenham, but I don't know. We'll see. We will see. Belgium and England for me on this one. I think that's a no
Yeah,
brainer.
I definitely agree with that no-brainer call right there. The thing I do like to see about England is I think this is their best year they're going to have in a long time due to the fact that I
Yeah, man.
think they're finally starting to figure out their shit. And it's one of those things, a lot of it is just you had players that were so caught up in the old English mindset of, oh, you're not from my hood, basically. I don't want to deal with you.
Mm-hmm.
And I think this team is going to be truly able to put the BS aside and just be able to play and show what their true talent is and just be able to play for
Yeah.
fun. And that when they play for
Yeah, and they
fun,
got a
they
lot of
win,
young,
man. They
aggressive
win.
talent. Yeah.
When these
Yeah,
young
man.
players, when they play on the
They've got
professional teams, what do? They win and they look and they enjoy themselves. They have fun, and it's apparent, and they're very good at what
100%.
they do. And I think that's what
Yeah.
they're going to bring to the World
And I
Cup.
think we finally have their rotations. Like in Euro, they had like Harry Kane playing back and like taking corners. I'm like, this is arguably the best striker in the world, and he's taking your corners. Like, what in the world are you doing? Yeah, I think that's a lot of it. They have a lot of young, fun-loving, aggressive players like Dele Alli, Raheem Sterling, Marcus Rashford. These guys that are attacking dynamos, and they're actually getting ability to open it up and run a little bit. And I think they're for once England's usually not that fun to watch. I think they could actually be a really interesting watch. That Belgium England game in
Yeah,
Group
I
G is gonna
think
be
I
awesome.
think
Can't wait for that one.
the nice thing about England too is they have a good dynamic of players to where they're going to be able to play technically. However, they're going to still have that
Mm-hmm.
direct play, that old English style, which is going to throw some
Yeah.
teams off
Yeah.
because they're just going to be able to pound it.
Mm-hmm.
But when they need to play, they're going to be able to play. And I think that's where they're just going to be able to
Yeah.
throw, just keep throwing it down your throat, and they're just going to barrage teams.
Yeah. Yeah. Watching them and some of the stuff when they get going in the counter or get going directly. You got Sterling kicking it off to Alley, who's finding Harry in the box. Like they're deadly. And finally, our last group, a wide open one, I think. We've got Poland, Senegal, Colombia, and Japan in Group H. Colombia has been talked about as a dark horse for the tournament. They've got talent in each level of the field. Up top, they got Falcao, and then like we talked about earlier, James in the middle, and then their back line is nasty as well. Davinson Sanchez from Tottenham, the young center back, who tore it up this year. He's only 22, but he's a beast back there. And again, I think when you have talent on each level of the field, you have a chance. I really like them. And then there's some interesting ones. Senegal, the other African nation led by Sadio Mane of Liverpool. Again, a very I just love watching the African nations play. They just open it up and go balls to the wall. But I think my other winner in the group besides Colombia, I'm going with Poland. Mainly because they have Robert Lewandowski up top, who's incredible, and when you've got a talent like that, and then they're again always a nation that's very organized in the back and disciplined. And if you've got that kind of discipline plus an attacking talisman like that up front, you can go a ways. I got Colombia and Poland. What do you
I
think
agree.
about this
I
one?
think Colombia takes the top of this group, and then Poland following. Lewandowski is just too good. I think he's just going to dismantle Japan and Senegal. It's just one of those things.
And the way that he's a striker is he's not just sitting at the top poaching. He drops back and he's the point of them for defense as well. He's an all around striker, which I think makes a huge difference as well. they're something else. All right, so now we're gonna do a couple different categories here, some quick ones to kind of wrap us up here. First off, let's go with who's your breakout player of the tournament, Mark? Someone who really steps up and makes a name for themselves, the James of this tournament.
Oh, the James of this tournament, man. Oh, this is tough because I can't really say James.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, he's
He's
already
already at that breakout tournament. However, I think
he's already established. Yeah.
I really do see it coming out of England.
Wow.
I see Rashford, man. I see him.
Rashford, yeah. Dude,
I
he's
see
an
it
animal.
happening.
I never understood why Mourinho doesn't play him more in United, because my always judge of players is when they're playing my team is how scared of them I am. And anytime Rashford got on the ball and we played him, I was like, oh shit.
He's just so young and so talented,
Yeah, no.
and I think
Animal,
the
dude.
players that are around him are going to be able to just give him the ball and opportunities that he's just kind of very away. And
yeah, and I agree because Dele and Harry up top, while they do like score goals, they are more than willing to lay it off each other. Harry is one of the better passing strikers I've ever seen, and he will dink balls around to people. And if you've got Harry kind of playing, and he can totally do really good as a hold up player as well up top, hold up and let like guys like Rashford and Sterling kind of run off of him. Yeah, there's a lot of opportunity there. Marcus Rashford, that's a good pick. Mine breakout player of the tournament. Oh, I wanted to go with my boy Sergey from Serbia, but I don't know if they're going to be in it long enough. Man, I am going to go with.
Think long term.
I know he's already. I know. He's already a. I might be breaking the rule a little bit with this one. He's already a obviously really well known and good player, but I think he takes the step in to be considered like a top 3, top 5 player up there with Neymar, Messi, and Ronaldo, and that's De Bruyne. Right. That's De Bruyne for me. I think he comes in and just wrecks it. He was unbelievable for City. The passing, the scoring, and all the options he's got on that Belgium team with Lukaku and Hazard. I think Belgium goes on a big run, and I think he's the reason for it. And people coming out of this World Cup, are like, yeah, but De Bruyne is in that top level. So I've got Kevin De Bruyne from Belgium.
I do agree. I do agree with you there. I mean, it's one of those things where it is kind of one of those, is it breaking the rules or not? But I think there are a lot of people that don't really view De Bruyne as that top player unless you're watching a lot of the EPL. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? If you watch a lot of EPL, you see that. But outside of that, I don't think people view it that way. So I do agree with that statement that I really do think that he will pull through for Belgium and they'll continue to go through.
Yeah, I totally agree with that. Along those lines, the Golden Boot, that is the winner for who scores the most goals in the World Cup. James Rodriguez won that last year, even though they only made it to the quarterfinals. He just kicked ass in the group stage and scored a bunch of goals. So who's your Golden Boot winner, Marcus?
Oh, man. What do they do when they tie? I've honestly never.
It's good. I don't know that. That's a good question. I think they just give it to both. I think they each get. I think.
Because I kind of have this weird feeling that there's gonna be.
You go. I'll look.
Yeah, I kind of want to know. Yeah, quick. See, I try to find this out real quick.
Golden Boot tiebreaker.
Because that kind of determines how I view this here. Something I just never even thought about.
Oh, interesting. The tiebreaker goes to the player who has contributed the most assists.
Oh, that okay.
Interesting.
This makes this a little interesting.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah, I know, right?
Oh, I gotta think a little bit more, Ben. I think you might need to take the lead on this one.
Who can pass?
You know.
All right. I'll go. So normally I would think, hey, you got to go with somebody who you think is going to be in the tournament long term, because obviously more games equals more goals. But we saw that with James that's last year. That's not necessarily the case. Man, that is so tough because like who if you're looking in the groups, like who could really like rack it up in the group stage and just bury a bunch. You get a hat trick and then in one game in the group stage, like you're already like at the top of things. Man, I don't know. It's a tough one, man. There's just so much talent out there. But I'm gonna go with I got between two, and I'm just gonna randomly pick one. I'm going with Timo Werner from Germany. He is taken over as the striker. He's a young striker from RB Leipzig, who's the point of the spear for Germany, and just whoever is the top of that Germany lineup always seems to get goals. And I think Germany is going to go away in this tournament. And he's a young, energetic. I mean, it's stereotypical to be like, oh, he really works hard out there because he's a German. But like he's not just going to sit there and wait for passes. He plays the ball and is really industrial out there. So I'm going Timo Werner with Germany. I thought about Griezmann for France, just because he's kind of their talisman up front, and God knows they have the attacking ability to score goals. But yeah, I'm going Timo Werner from Germany. What do you think?
Honestly, you just said it. I mean, no.
I want to steal your German guy.
Actually, I'm going Griezmann, man.
Are you?
Okay. So actually, I had two.
He tore it up in 2016.
So here's my two. I say he takes it over Neymar, due to what the groups are coming out to be matched up as. I do love my German boys. I just think my German boys will be a little bit spread out more than somebody taking a golden boot. That's how I view it.
Yeah, that's a good point.
However, I got to go with him to the French due to the fact that I think he'll be able to produce more on the higher end with assists and everything else come later.
Yeah, and their group they got Australia, Peru, Denmark. There's plenty of goals to be had in that group. Yeah, I like that pick. We will see. Of course, it's probably gonna be like Messi. We'll be like, oh, God, why the hell didn't we pick Messi?
I just don't see him I don't see him winning it, man. I think Messi gets it if they win it.
I don't trust Argentina, bro.
I just don't.
Yeah.
I can't. Like they're. I just don't.
I see them getting knocked out pretty early, man. Quarters. Yeah. I don't know. I just don't believe in Argentina personally. And the Golden Ball, the player of the tournament. Now that usually is going to go to player on the winning team. It's not always the case, but man, that's a good for me. That's tough, man. That's tough. I want to go De Bruyne just because I believe in him and Belgium so much. But I already picked him, so that's lame.
That's terrible.
Man, I don't know. You go first on this one. What do you got?
The Golden Ball. I wish I could just give it to a team. That's called winning the World Cup.
Yes, that's called winning.
Oh man. Who do I really view is going to stand out for Germany? It's going to put them just so far ahead. See, I feel like you got to give it to somebody that's just Golden Ball. It's arguably so hard to determine.
I know. Sometimes they'll just go like guy who scored the most on the winning team, or it's tough.
And it is one of those things too, is because it's just how do you evaluate what happened in the game? You know what I mean? And this is when you're talking about coaching stuff too. Just how do you evaluate it?
Yeah, and for example, last year, Messi won it, even though they lost to Germany. So it's
that's exactly when you're looking at stuff like that. It's just or do you view things that necessarily didn't happen, like statistically, you know what I mean, or just how they dominated play, even when you're not looking at stats, and that's going to be the interesting part.
And like 2010, Diego Forlan won it, and I don't think Uruguay made it. I think they just made it to the semis. So yeah, it's open. It's wide open.
It's going to be interesting. I can't put it on anything right now, man. I just think the reason is because I think when it comes down to it, this is one of the best group stages that we have. And then once we get outside of group stages, these teams that are going to be coming out are so stacked that I think
it's hard to pick just the one, because so many of them, it's like, who's the top player on that team? It's hard to determine.
I think this year we're going to be really just surprised. I think the person that wins it, nobody would have guessed. That's honestly how I view it.
Oh, okay. So you're taking it's gonna be a
Yeah,
dark
and just
horse.
because
I like that.
it's going to be that person, like you wouldn't even think that they would have been. You're just looking at them like, what in the world? Where the hell did this come out of? You know what I mean? Because you are the reason,
Right.
and it's just one of those things. That I don't think
Okay.
it's going to be that standout player that we all know about right now. You know what I mean? I
Mhm.
think it's going to be,
Mm-hmm.
like you said, that dark horse that just kind of pops up and just shows the world, hey, this is why
That'd
I'm
be
here.
awesome. That'd be awesome. That was kind of Forlon in 2010. Like I knew of him. He was a good player, but he kind of broke out in that tournament. Man, yeah, I'm gonna go. Yeah, screw it. I'm going De Bruyne. Golden ball. Let's go. Riding my boy Ginger Kev. He's gonna make
Ginger
it happen. He's
power.
gonna make
Woo
it happen.
woo.
Ginger power, baby. All right, so now we'll go to some more team awards. Who do you think will be the biggest disappointment of the tournament, team wise? Who's gonna lay that dud?
I do think Argentina lays the dud outside of the group. They're gonna get right outside and go.
Think they're out. Think they're right. Think they're out in the
Yeah,
knockouts.
I do. I would say probably the biggest, just because we are obviously taking them to win their group. I just don't honestly see them with the current matchups if they made it out. Even if we put them against our like dark horses or even the third place of some of these groups, I just don't see them getting past. And I love Messi. I love Messi to death, but I just think they're going to keep on doing the Argentinian thing and just keep laying eggs, man.
Yeah.
But
I agree with that one. I was going to pick them, but I'm going Portugal.
Yeah.
As amazing as Ronaldo is, they're an older squad and they don't have a whole lot of attacking power outside of them. And I think obviously the further you go in the tournament, the easier it is for these teams to kind of take away your best players. I don't see Portugal going far either.
For me, I don't even view Portugal as really laying an egg. I just think that's where they're at nowadays. Because I do view Argentina as a better team, which could go further, and that's why I view them there. Like honestly, I do agree that Portugal loses in the knockout stage, but I just think that's now expected. You know what I mean with stuff, and that's why I personally don't view it that way. But what's more surprising is I honestly don't feel like England's going to be laying the egg, which is just crazy to think.
Yeah, I know,
because
right?
they've been doing
it's
it
amazing.
for
faith in them,
years. You know what I mean? It's like what in the world?
Oh, yeah. They always sucked it
and
up. And they had like Gerrard and Lampard, though. Everyone's like, "Oh my God, England!" And
it's crazy to think that you can talk footy and say England is actually going to do well in this World Cup. Baffles me. That baffles me. You know what I mean? It just really does. It really does.
Watch it. They're not going to get out of the group.
right. Panama and Tanzania.
So how about who's your dark horse for the tournament? Not necessarily like your pick to win, but a team that's kind of off the radar that you think makes a bit of a run. Because there's usually one team that'll get to the knockouts or get past the knockouts, get into the quarters. That's kind of off the radar, kind of the surprise team.
My surprise team. Always a toughie because you don't.
I know.
It always is. There always is that one.
And like we've said, there's so many of these teams that have just that one star player, and maybe like say Eriksson gets hot or Salah gets hot, he could. They could.
I gotta go. I gotta go with Iceland or Costa Rica.
Ooh.
I mean, that's obviously. I took Iceland as my second team in that group, in Group D. I mean, you were saying Croatia, so I get, in my mind, they're not necessarily a dark horse, but I just do think.
Yeah, I can't pick Croatia as a dark horse. They're established. They've had talent a long time. I like the Costa Rica pick though, man. They made a run last year, and they're bringing back most of the people that love that experience and that goalkeeping. That's hard to
exactly, and that's where it's kind of hard though too.
That's hard to go against. I like
that's where it's kind of hard too though. Like, are they technically a dark horse? Like they are in a really good group, and a lot of people view him going last.
No, I'd count them as a dark horse.
But I do agree.
They're not one of the big.
Yeah, they're not one of the powers.
I like that pick. I like that pick a lot. I want to pick Nigeria just for.
Oh no way! There's no way you're not going South Korea. Come on, there's no way.
Dude, I know.
Your boy, it's your boy. There's no way you're not. Come on.
I know that's
you can't. You can't.
I love them.
Oh, I'm gonna, you can't do this.
Also, with the Golden Girl, I'm going with another one. Not a dark horse because they're a good nation, but I think they make a real a run like quarters or semis, and I'm going Colombia. I think. Yeah. They're 40-1 odds right now, which is obviously a long shot. I don't know if they win it, but I think they're right there. I think they're a great team. Like I said before, they got stars on each level, and I could see them going, like I said, quarters, semis, maybe even the final. I think they're super talented, and I think they can make a deep run. But I like your Costa Rica pick though.
Tell you what, you get into some interesting things once you start getting into odds of teams too.
I know, man.
And you're looking at bet lines.
It's
Dang,
real
man.
crazy.
Looking at some of these.
Mm-hmm.
If you actually look at some of these groups and their bet lines and seeing how everybody else in the world views things, it's actually really interesting to see.
Yeah, man. Yeah, I don't know. I wouldn't recommend betting on soccer. It's just
especially World Cup.
It's especially international soccer. These guys don't play with each other that much. Some of the games can be kind of rough and tumble. Yeah, I would stay away from betting international soccer personally.
You got a lot of money. You want to have
it's
fun.
Always good to look at the line. Go look at the lines just to always good to look at the lines, just kind of see where things are slated there. And then finally, I forgot the other one though. I was going to ask you because as a goalkeeping expert yourself, the Golden Glove, the keeper of the tournament. Who do you got for that?
Keeper of the tournament. I think it goes to my dark horse. It goes to my dark horse, man. I really do.
Yeah.
I think they're going to make a long run in this tournament. So I got to go with Navas.
And I could see him making some gnarly saves.
Which is
too, for sure.
Yeah. Which is upsetting to say with my German boys. But it's just, it's just one of those things. Yeah. It is one of those things you got to look at.
Mm-hmm.
Also,
I think he's going to have
exactly, and that's exactly right. You got to look at that. You know what I mean? If you only have to make one save in a tournament, and don't get me wrong, if it helps you win the tournament, by all means, you did your job. But when you're looking at who can put teams into a late stage run, I view Costa Rica with Navas. Mm-hmm. I just really do see it happen.
Yeah, I like that. And I'm gonna go for that reason. I'm gonna go Lloris from France. I think they go pretty deep. And again, their backline sometimes be questionable, and I think he might have to make some saves. And his specialty as a keeper is making the fantastic save. Sometimes he can be a little mistake prone, but he'll make that wild save that can save you a game. And I think those kind of highlight grabby plays can help you win that award. But here we go. I've got a couple other quick ones here for you before we pick our champs. I always find this interesting because as someone who's played the game a lot, I always find it interesting to see get your thoughts on some players. So here's a question for you: Who in the World Cup would you most want to play with? Would it be the most fun to get out?
Just a player and play with? Or a team?
Yeah.
Player?
Let's go player.
Honestly, it seems stupid. It would either be Neymar or Messi. Those two, just because when you watch them play, they just do things that are just crazy. They're so talented.
Yeah. Just to get a front row seat to the
you know what I mean? Like, we've seen enough videos of them just doing crazy things, you know what I mean? Just to be there with them. Yeah. They're all these players are fantastic no matter what. It'd be phenomenal to play with any of them. But just to be able to sit there and, what I would love to do is play a game of penne. Do you know what penne is at all? It's basically it's like 2v2 soccer in a cage, and you play with it's like a 1v or one by one. You know what I mean? Yeah, and it's all about nutmegs. You know what I mean? That's what it's about. In those players, just to be in that playing penne, you'd be like, what in the bloody hell are you doing? That's nuts, man. You just sit there and just be in awe And that'd be the fun thing. And obviously, all these players are still that capable, but it's just that nostalgia, that just ability, just everything about them. You know what I mean? It's just like, my God, you guys are phenomenal at what you do. And it'd be kind of cool. Like Neymar's technically just a year older than I am, so it'd be kind of cool just to be like, hey, what's up,
I know,
Neymar?
right? That's just insane.
Like literally, like on the date. So it's pretty cool just for that factor alone. But
that's insane. That's insane. Yeah, I think just for historic sake, the answer is Messi. But I'll go something a little further off the path there. I like playing with guys who are super competitive and a little wild. So my answer is Luis Suarez.
Getting a little kinky, are we? Little.
I know he's gonna have a little bitey. Yeah, I know he's gonna have my back if something goes down, and he'll do anything to win, even like crazy illegal shit. So I think that, and just be fun to be around someone who's that.
See, one quick thing about with Messi though, I'd just take a picture with his goat now. Like that'd be cool.
Yeah, man. Yeah.
Did you hear about that stuff? This little goat that he, you know, be like, what in the world? But would also be cool, like, just for me being when I was coaching, it'd actually be really cool to play with Pogba. And the reason is because when I was coaching college, I actually coached a teammate of his, who we called Frenchie, Matt Brem, who now currently plays in the United States. In the MLS, but you know, like it was cool that I was able to actually coach somebody that literally played with Pogba, you know, and you can actually go back and, you know, read on it and see that they played on the same U teams together up until, what was it, the U17 national team, if I remember correctly off the top of my head.
Wow.
Yeah, which is cool, you know what I mean? And that's why it would just be cool, because you just kind of connect those pieces of the puzzle, and it'd just be a cool little experience, especially if you could have both of them there at the same time. If you could bring Matt back over, you know what I mean? And you know, they'd be speaking French and just be hanging out, chilling, having a good time. So that'd be cool.
Yeah, there you go. I like that. I like that a lot. All right, no more stalling, no more screwing around. Mark, who is your champion of the 2018 World Cup?
Well, gotta go. You know, if you speak any Spanish, Alemán, German, the Deutschland. Got to go with Germany, my man. Got to. Got too many family over there. It's just my love. They got Beer Fest, even though it's in October. You know, whatever. We get sidetracked, but they're just so good at what they do. And even if, like,
repeat is that's insane.
Even though, like, even when you view outside of me having heritage there, it's just one of those things that they are just so good. You know, they always continue to bring talent. Training facilities are out the roof, whether you're talking about professional teams, national teams. Just the German culture of soccer is just beautiful when you view it as a player, as a coach, as a fan. It's just an amazing thing to see. So I have to honestly take them. I do.
Yeah, I can see that. It's really interesting because history plays against two of the best teams. I think the unanimous two best teams in the tournament being Germany and Brazil. Brazil, and the fact that a South American team has never won a World Cup on European soil. And then also just repeating as champs is insanely difficult. And that's Germany. So because of that, it's hard to pick. For me, it's hard to pick either of those teams. As logically, you want to go with Germany just because they're an absolute machine and they have.
Can I take a guess who you're gonna say?
Who am I gonna guess? What do you got?
I feel like you're gonna say Belgium.
What do you think? You son of a bitch. Yeah, dude. I think it's their time. Golden generation, man, and they're just so stacked from front to back. And again, you know, it's another European nation. I was thinking France, but I just don't like the way they play with all that talent. They have a hard time balancing it, and a lot of those guys are a bit mercurial. Pogba can be really up and down. But you know, and I mean, freaking what's his name? Martinez is Belgium's manager, and I'm not a huge fan of his, but I don't know. I just think they have so much. experience on that back line, which I think is just huge. You play three at the back, and you've got Vertonghen, Alderweireld, and company. Like that's an absolute
Yeah, I
wall.
think if I remember right,
With the talent
Company
they
was
have
going to
up
be out
front.
probably for the first
Crazy.
game, and then they're expecting him to return.
Yeah. I think he was nursing something.
If I
Yeah,
remember right, that's what they were
I've seen
talking
him come
about.
back,
So
and he's their
yeah,
captain.
not a fan of Company
So yeah,
personally,
assuming
but he is.
no, he's a real dick, but
It's one of
he's a
those
hell of a
things. He
player.
gets the job done, man. Whether you like him or not, he gets the job done. Yeah, no,
Yeah. So
it's a
I'm going
solid pick.
Belgium, man. I think they've been the hipster pick the last couple of years, but I don't think they were quite ready yet. They were like younger. Obviously, it was 4 and 8 years ago, but I think a lot of their guys have made huge strides, and they've played together for a long time. They have a lot of consistency as well. That roster. Um, so I'm going with them, and I think they'll have a huge fan base there too. I think that's always a big part of it as well.
Definitely.
Yeah, I'm going Belgium. Um, so yeah, that's everything I had on the rundown. Mark, anything else you want to hit here as we kind of wrap up?
I don't know. I mean, obviously we don't know. We obviously made our predictions, but 4 years from now, man, what do you see? What do you see?
Ooh, wow.
I mean, I know it's
Thinking down the
it's
road.
down the road, but when you look at teams,
Yeah, you got to think of the nations with young talent developing that can kind of hit their stride in the next one. Dude, for me, as crazy as it sounds like it's England, man.
Yeah,
They've got a lot of young talent, and in 4 years, those guys are going to be established stars.
I
Talking Rashford,
yeah,
Sterling.
I do honestly.
Like it's crazy to think Harry Kane's 24.
Harry Kane's 24.
Like he'll still be. Yeah, dude, he'll be 28.
Oh, dude, yeah, he's gonna be in his stride, like his technically
in his absolute
true,
prime.
What?
Yeah, Deli's 21.
That's nutty.
Rashford, I think, is 20. I think
Yeah,
Rashford's 20.
Is he? Did he have his birthday? He was because he was 9.
He's young.
Yeah, I think he is 20 because he would have been 19. Yeah,
I think he's 20.
That sounds right.
Yeah, but that's just a lot of young talent. And they're going to get a lot of experience.
That's nuts, man.
And they're going to be playing together as well. Like it's going to be that same crew. Like no one else. I don't see anyone else coming up and like taking spots from those guys. Like that core. Eric Dyer, I think it's 22, 23. Like they're just super young and already have a lot of experience. And going through this World Cup, they'll have a lot of experience together.
Honestly, I do agree with that statement. England and I'm going to go outside of the technically it deals with the players, but the thing that I am seeing a lot of is the English coaches are learning and getting better as a whole.
Yeah, people have been surprised with Southgate. They haven't had a whole lot to say about him negatively, which is saying something for the
exactly. And it's one of those things when you obviously, I was part of the coaching realm, and you evaluate professional coaches, you evaluate team decisions, you evaluate sessions that are ran, you know what I mean? Because these are professionals. You do continue to develop as players, but it's different than the development when you're young, you know what I mean? So even when you're talking about developing young players and then pushing through the professional development program and then putting them on an international team, like the England system is really grown. And that's where it's interesting to see. And I really do think they're going to be one of the standouts come. I think they're going to have a strong push this year, but I really do think next World Cup, it could be their year, man, which is crazy to see that we go from talking about year.
It feels so risky. It feels so risky wanting to go for England because they're just so used to.
Well, that's the thing. We go from them being terrible with some of the best talent in the world, and they just drop an egg to this year. Honestly, I feel like they're gonna get out and be solid to next World Cup.
I mean, and they're kind of under the radar too, which is weird for.
But outside of that, I do see continual growth from Mexico. If USA doesn't get their shit together, there's a strong chance we might.
They could run us for the next 10, 12 years.
And that's what people don't get. It doesn't matter how good our young talent is. There are so many issues outside of the actual players that play for us. We have a lot of young kids.
Yeah. Ours is a coaching and organizational.
There's a lot of young kids with great talent, blah, blah, blah. Like there were so many people in these international friendlies, like, the 18-year-old, the redhead, I can completely pull on a name blank right now.
Jock Sargent.
Sargent, who scored the goal against, was it Bolivia or whatever?
Yeah.
And it was just
and McKinney's playing for Schalke.
but it's one of those things. Like,
Obviously Christian, yeah.
cool, you made this play, but when you're in the World Cup stage, players don't make that play. You know what I mean? Not even a Nigerian player who some view, or like, or even a not South Korea, because they're always defensively organized. Trying to think of another. Who would be probably? Who do you think?
Crazy
like
attacking
a
teams.
Panama or Tunisia. You're just looking at some of these teams that you're just like, they're not going to make that decision. Yeah, Iran, their goalkeeper's not making that decision.
Yeah.
You just look at and evaluate talent and just say, dude, these teams are good. Okay, so what's the issue? We have issues with our youth development. We have issues which are definitely with our coaching development. Terrible issues with the coaching development. It's god awful.
I think it goes higher than that, man. Just organizational
Dude, our structure is so poor. We just released new information of the new guy in charge is going to be taking care of everything. He's going to be managing soccer for us.
Here's the new boss, same as the old boss.
And it's just like, when everybody viewed this when we didn't make this World Cup. Oh, we're going to have these big changes, blah blah blah. And in reality, we're going to have no real change. Okay, yeah, you're going to have some young players playing, but like I just said, just having new players playing doesn't change anything. You know what I mean? We lived in a time where we were able to get away and escape from teams, honestly, due to athleticism. Same with the women's side. However, even on the women's side, what's happening? Teams are catching up. Technically,
everyone else is getting better, man.
Not,
CONCACAF isn't the shit show it used to be.
is getting so hard, and people are viewing that. And I just think Mexico is a step above. It's going to continue to be above us until we get our heads out of our asses as a nation with soccer, men's and women's, because women's will still be good. You know what I mean? Don't get me wrong. Women's is going to be good, but the thing is, teams are still going to catch up, and it's going to be apparent. And I hate to say it. And this was the biggest gripe when I coached, man. This is the biggest gripe, because I'd have conversations with people and they'd be like, oh no, blah, 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 blah. I'm like, you don't understand what's happening in the background. I'm the one who actually went to coaching courses, coaching clinics, coaching conferences where you have professional coaches from across the world, US, outside that. You have conversations with, national team players, national team coaches, stuff like that. And you see the issues, you know what I mean? I've been blessed that I was actually able to talk to some players about some of the issues that were happening outside with the national team one time at one of my conventions. And it's just, for me being a coach, it was very, very easy to see. But as a general fan, like, you kind of look past issues like that and you're just like, oh, it's going to happen, blah, 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 until you get in the nitty gritty.
Well, what I say is we view soccer with an American sports lens, which is just
it's not the same. It's not the same.
It's just completely different. Yeah, no, it's just completely different, and kind of reshaping that mindset, I think, is going to be important as well. I think that's a whole nother podcast we could do, man. We might have to hop back on and delve into some U.S. soccer.
Some U.S. soccer men's and women's cluster.
Yeah, exactly. But until then, guys, this has been Ben and Mark here on the Jock Rock segment of the Flick Your Bick Podcast Network. Thank you so much for joining us, Marcus. Thanks for hopping on, man. This was awesome. It was great to talk sports with somebody. I think we'll have you back on maybe coming at the end of the Cup. We can talk about what's going on, and I think that U.S. soccer pod needs to happen as well. That could be very interesting.
Hey, if Lexi Lawless can do it, and he's trying to be this head dude. Oh, God. Yeah, that means no. Yeah.
Oh, blowhard. Oh, my Lord. Yeah. Yep. Okay. Well, on that sort of sobering note, thank you so much for joining us, guys. We will catch you next time. Again, right now we are on Twitter and YouTube. Hit us up on there. We're working on getting on Spotify and iTunes as well for your listening pleasure. But please feel free to spread the podcast around. And if you have anything else you want to hear us talk about, holler at us on the YouTube or the Twitter. Me and Nick are running those and moderating them pretty regularly. Leave comments, subscribe, all that jazz, and we'll see you next time. Thanks a lot, guys.